So Chad, you deal with a ton of scams almost every day of your life, but the one that caught my eye, purely by name, is Kaka Boys. Is it plumbing or is it just a scam that smells as bad as it's named?
The Kaka Boys is bizarre because it was actually a plumbing company. And you really have to have a bit of chutzpah to call a company Kaka Boys when you're in the plumbing trade. But the thing is, whether the owner of Kaka Boys was in actual fact a plumber, we'll never really know because he's reinvented himself so many, many times. He came onto our radar about 2016, 2017. His name's Fred Enslin. And he had purportedly sold a large amount of coal to a Canadian company. This Canadian company never ever took receipts of this coal, although they paid a fortune across. And the guy that was running the business, Fred Enslin, disappeared. He then reappeared in Langebaan as a plumber, running a business called Kaka Boys. A couple of years later, still in Langebaan, he reinvented himself as a security professional, ex-recce and all that, obviously not, but claiming to be, and starts a security company which is based right next door to Langebaan police station. And a couple of months later, lo and behold, the Kaka Boy signs that had been replaced by the security company signs now get replaced by a signage called Enslin Incorporated, the world's top commercial litigators. And Mr. Fred Enslin had reinvented himself with not one, but two doctorates in law and purportedly being the world's expert in commercial litigation.
Just hold on 1 second. So in the space of a couple of months, he's become three different people.
He goes from plumber to security expert to lawyer. Nobody seems to find it strange that the Kaka Boy sign gets replaced by a security company sign, that the security company sign gets replaced by a legal practitioner sign. Nobody's surprised that the man's lifestyle changes. He gets better vehicles. He gets quite an ego. The whole of Langebaan starts talking about this attorney, forgetting that a couple of months ago he was unblocking their drains. Now he's involved in international litigation against some of the biggest mining houses in the world, purportedly holding two doctorates in law.
So you're telling me nobody in the community smelt a rat, or a poo for that matter?
I don't know. Maybe small communities don't like to rock the boat. There's no way in hell people didn't ask questions. And to make it all the worse is his closest neighbor was the local police station. Now, we're not talking about a huge police station. So your detectives there, they've been there for a while. The Vispol members, they've been there for a while. They know the community. If he'd had a security company, they would have worked with him. They would have had to ask the obvious questions, dealing with this guy. How did he come across when he was in the security industry? How did he come across when he was suddenly this doctor of law? It doesn't make sense to me how the community could not be suspicious. What I find strange, though, is human nature. They don't want to prod. People don't want to ask too many questions these days.
So how did he make his money? Because surely if you're a plumber and you can't clean poop, you can't charge people for it. If you're a security company and you're not registered, you can't be charging for people. And then if you're a lawyer, how the hell do you practice?
So let's go back a couple of years. The guy obviously likes money and he doesn't want to have to work that hard for it. Hence the coal move. The coal move took the Canadian company for a lot of money. They tried to pursue it civilly. They were able to obtain judgment. They should have gone criminal. We asked them to go criminal. They said no. Instead of going criminal, they left him and he disappeared to reinvent himself. I don't know why he reinvented himself in the plumbing game, but that was his next business, Kaka Boys. And obviously he didn't enjoy it that much. And he could see the growth of the security industry in South Africa. It's an industry that also commands respect. And I think this is what this man's looking for. He's looking for that acceptance. He's looking for respect. He wants people to admire him. So he reinvented himself in the security space. We know that he had problems with the security regulator, but somehow sorted that out. But then obviously got bored with that. There wasn't enough action per se, or maybe not enough money. Because when Enslin established itself, he got with it a bundle of clients because his partner, Stephanie Ulifi, was a local accountant. And she had a lot of clients that needed assistance, both in the Western Cape and the Northern Cape. And she actually helped him further the fraud by saying to her client base, leave your current attorneys, go with Fred, he's the best. and Enslin Olafie was born.
At what point did you start investigating him?
We were investigating him originally with the coal transaction. They were curious to find out whether or not they'd been handled because he was very convincing. We always say con artists are called con artists because A, they're convincing, and B, they're confident. That's how they're able to perpetrate their fraud. So they were uncertain whether or not they'd been handled because whenever they contacted the coal company, they were told the coal's in transit, it's been transported, it's at Richards Bay, it's on board the ship, it'll be at wherever it's destined to be sooner than later, but it was never ever there. But they were still uncertain about the facts.
So it is what, 7 years later now?
7 years later.
He's not been caught.
So the coal company asked us to look into him, and they have a local attorney. The attorney instructs us. We found out that this guy isn't who he says he is. He isn't this great commodities trader. There isn't actually product. And we recommend to them, based on the fact they've got their civil judgment, the sheriff's gone out, it's a nulla bona return, there's nothing to attach. We've suggested to them that they pursue him from a criminal perspective. They say no. This irks me, because if they had done something then, we wouldn't be sitting with the situation we have now, where he becomes far more emboldened. And to make matters worse, he was already running a dummy attorney's firm then, because the attorneys that were dealing with the local attorneys trying to make the excuses on his behalf were none other than people that were actually working out of his office, and he'd created a name. So the idea of reinventing himself as this well-to-do attorney had manifested itself a long, long time ago.
He went to the extent of faking online court cases.
He did. He created the scenario during COVID that he was representing his client from the Northern Cape who had a major case involving one of the major mining houses in South Africa with offices throughout the world. He convinced the client that litigation had been expedited and that the court case would be held remotely. He wore a gown and he ran around his office pretending to be a participant in this international court case for a couple of days. And people actually believed it because they could basically log in and see him walking around arguing on their behalf to purported cameras that were filming his every move and relaying it to this court in the United Kingdom. Of course, there was no such court case. When they looked on the roll, the court case never existed, and he was just playing. It was all an act.
So where is he right now?
He's still in the Western Cape. He's under investigation. The Hawks are investigating him from the Northern Cape. The Western Cape Provincial Investigation Units are investigating him. His erstwhile partner, Stephanie Olafie, is currently on trial. She's involved in the Shepherd Bushiri case. So his days are numbered.